The year 2089 brought many technological marvels to humanity, but none as controversial as the commercialization of sleep. What once came naturally to all living beings had been optimized, commodified, and ultimately controlled by Somniatech Corporation. The company's sleek advertisements played on every corner of Neo-Saigon. Why waste 8 hours when you can experience perfect rest in just 2? Their trademarked dream pods promised efficiency, enhanced cognitive function, and carefully curated dreams, all for a price. Lin An gazed at the city through the panoramic windows of Somniatech's 147th floor. Neo-Saigon sparkled with neon lights that never dimmed, a metropolis that truly never slept. Not naturally, at least. The traditional form of sleep had been outlawed 15 years ago, declared inefficient and hazardous to economic growth by the new government. Citizens were required to purchase sleep packages from Somniatech or use the company's monitoring dream pods. As Somniatech's leading neural engineer, Lin An had helped design the algorithm that made this new world possible. She believed in the science, the progress, the liberation from biological constraints. After all, she had grown up watching her father waste away from fatal familial insomnia, a rare genetic disorder that had robbed him of natural sleep until it claimed his life. Technology had failed him then, but now it promised to free humanity from sleep's unpredictable grip. Beautiful view, isn't it? The voice behind her belonged to Wang Ka, Somniatech's CEO. His tailored suit gleamed under the office's ambient lighting, not a wrinkle in sight. Your latest neural pathway efficiency report exceeded all expectations, Lin. The board is very pleased. Lin turned to face him, tucking a strand of black hair behind her ear. The improvements should reduce processing time by 17%. DreamPod users won't even notice the transition between consciousness and the sleep state. Seamless experience. That's what we promise. Wang Ka's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The quarterly earnings call is tomorrow. I'd like you to present the new features. Lin nodded, though something in her hesitated. The same something that had been growing louder in recent weeks. Of course, I've been monitoring some unusual data patterns. However, there seem to be anomalies in memory retention among users in the Eastern District. Wang Ka's expression hardened briefly before returning to its practiced pleasantness. Send the data to technical support. You should focus on the presentation. Remember, we're not just selling sleep. We're selling a better humanity. After he left, Lin returned to her workstation. The anomalies she'd mentioned weren't just statistical errors. 5 users had reported complete memory gaps following their DreamPod sessions, experiences eerily similar to what Somniatech termed sleep wipes, a rare side effect that officially didn't exist. She pulled up the data again, looking for patterns. All 5 affected users had purchased the economy package, the cheapest option available. All 5 lived in the same district, populated mostly by those who couldn't afford premium sleep. And all 5 had reported the issue through unofficial channels, not Somniatech's customer service. A notification flashed across her screen. Breaking news footage showed police dispersing a gathering in Central Square. The protesters held simple signs: "Sleep is a right, and dreams cannot be owned." The camera zoomed in on their leader, a young woman with short hair and fierce eyes, before tech police surrounded her. The headline read, "Sleepless Resistance Movement Disrupts Business District." Lin closed the feed quickly, but not before feeling a pang of something unfamiliar: doubt. That night, in her luxury apartment provided by Somniatech, Lin prepared for her own sleep session. Her personal dream pod, a sleek, egg-shaped chamber, hummed as it calibrated to her vital signs. As the neural interface connected, she closed her eyes, thinking of the protesters and their impossible demand: the right to sleep naturally, to dream without corporate oversight. Just before unconsciousness claimed her, a thought surfaced. What if they were right? Morning came with artificial precision. Lynn woke, feeling rested, as always. Her dream pod had administered exactly 1.8 hours of optimized sleep, the perfect amount according to Somniatech's algorithms. Yet, something felt off. For the first time in years, she tried to remember her dreams and found nothing but a blank wall. The Somniatech tower buzzed with activity as Lynn made her way to her lab. Colleagues nodded respectfully. She was, after all, the youngest division head in company history. At 32, Lynn Ann had revolutionized sleep technology with her neural mapping techniques. Her reputation was impeccable. "Good morning, Dr. Ann," her assistant handed her a tablet. "Your presentation is ready for review." "Thank you, Tam." Lynn skimmed the slides, showcasing Somniatech's latest achievement: dream customization for economy packages. The feature had previously been available only to premium customers. But now, even those on tight budgets could select from a limited catalog of dream experiences. What the presentation didn't mention was the cost-cutting measure behind it: reduced memory integration time. Dreams would feel real during sleep, but would fade quickly upon waking, leaving users satisfied but unable to recall specifics. Perfect for customer retention, as they'd want to experience the dreams again and again. Lynn set the tablet down, an uncomfortable realization forming. The memory anomalies she detected could be an unintended consequence of this feature. Not just dreams fading, but actual memories being affected. "Tam, cancel my meetings this afternoon. I need to run some additional diagnostics." After the morning briefing, Lynn locked herself in her private lab. She bypassed the standard testing protocols and created a direct neural link to the affected user's data. Hours passed as she traced the algorithm's pathways, following the neural connections that Somniatech's dream pods created during sleep. What she found made her blood run cold. The economy package didn't just offer reduced memory integration, it actively suppressed certain neural connections. Memories weren't just failing to form, they were being deliberately erased, and not randomly. The algorithm targeted memories of resistance, of questioning authority, of dissatisfaction with the system. It was subtle, nearly undetectable unless you knew exactly where to look. Lynn had helped design the core algorithm years ago, but this modification wasn't hers. Someone had altered her work. A soft ping alerted her to a presence at her door. Wang Ka entered without waiting for permission. "Working late, I see." His voice was casual, but his eyes darted to her screens. Lynn quickly switched to a standard diagnostic view. "Just double-checking the presentation data." "Always thorough." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's what makes you our star. Don't stay too late. Tomorrow's an important day." After he left, Lynn sat motionless, her mind racing. The modified algorithm couldn't have been implemented without high-level approval, which meant Wang Ka knew, which meant Somniatech was deliberately wiping targeted memories from its users, which meant everything she believed about her work was a lie. That night, Lynn did something she hadn't done in 15 years. She disabled her dream pod and lay in darkness, attempting what had become illegal: natural sleep. It didn't come easily. Her body, accustomed to the neural induction of the dream pod, resisted. Hours passed as she stared at her ceiling, thoughts churning. Near dawn, exhaustion finally claimed her, and for the first time since childhood, Lynn Ann dreamed naturally. She saw her father as he had been before his illness, strong, smiling, telling her stories under the stars. She saw herself as a child, eyes wide with wonder. And then the dream shifted, and she stood in a vast field of lotus flowers, their pink petals opening to reveal not pollen, but tiny, glowing neural networks, pulsing with life. When she woke, disoriented and groggy, the memory of the dream remained vivid, unlike the carefully managed experiences from the dream pod. And with that clarity came decision. She had to find the sleepless resistance. Finding an illegal movement proved challenging. even for someone with Lin's access. She couldn't use Somniatech's networks. Every search was monitored. Instead, she turned to the black market, where technology from the pre-sleep law era could still be found. In the shadows of Neo-Saigon's historic district, where ancient buildings stood in defiance of modern architecture, Lin found a dealer of antiquated tech. The old woman studied her expensive clothes with suspicion. "Somniatech doesn't send its people to places like this," she remarked, fingers hovering over a hidden alarm. "I'm not here for Somniatech." Lin placed a physical credit chip on the counter, untraceable, unlike digital currency. "I need an unmonitored communication device and information." The woman's eyes narrowed. "What kind of information costs as much as this chip?" "I need to find the resistance, the sleepless." A laugh erupted from the old woman. "Either you're a very clever tech police officer, or you're very foolish." She slid the chip back. "I can't help you." As Lin turned to leave, defeated, the woman added, "But the Museum of Sleep might. They have an exhibit on pre-regulation dreams. Very educational." The Museum of Sleep was one of Neo-Saigon's least popular attractions, a relic maintained for historical purposes, showcasing how humans used to sleep before dream-pod technology. Its dimly lit halls displayed ancient beds, dream journals, and primitive alarm clocks. Few visitors bothered with such obsolete history. Lin wandered through the exhibits, wondering if she'd misunderstood the woman's hint. Then she noticed a young man watching her from beside a display of sleep masks. When their eyes met, he turned and walked toward an emergency exit. Following him led Lin down a service corridor and into a hidden room where dozens of people sat in a circle, discussing quietly. They fell silent as she entered. The woman from the news footage, the protest leader, stood to face her. Up close, her fierce expression was even more intimidating. Well, Somniatech's neural engineering prodigy graces us with her presence." Her voice dripped with sarcasm. "To what do we owe the honor, Dr. An?" Lin swallowed hard. "I found something in Somniatech's systems. The economy sleep packages are being used to erase targeted memories." Murmurs rippled through the group. The leader's expression didn't change. "Tell us something we don't know. We've been documenting sleep wipes for 3 years." "I can prove it." Lin stepped forward. "I helped design the original algorithm. I know how it's been modified, and I can track exactly what memories are being targeted. And why would Somniatech Star want to help us?" "Because I was wrong." The admission felt like ripping off a bandage. Sleep isn't just a biological function to be optimized. It's part of what makes us human. And Somniatech is using my work to control people's minds. The leader studied her for a long moment. "I'm Nye. Some people call me Ghost. If you're lying, you'll wish the tech police had found you instead of us." Over the following weeks, Lin lived a double life. By day, she continued her work at Somniatech, carefully maintaining the facade of the dedicated engineer. By night, she met with the resistance, sharing her knowledge and helping them understand the technology they fought against. Nye remained skeptical of Lin's conversion. "You've spent your career making sleep illegal for anyone who can't afford Somniatech's products. Why the sudden change of heart?" They sat in the Resistance's main hideout, an abandoned sleep clinic, ironically overlooking the Somniatech Tower. "I believed I was helping people." Lin stared at her hands. "My father died because he couldn't sleep naturally. I thought I was preventing others from suffering the same fate. By making them dependent on corporate sleep?" "By making sleep reliable, controllable." Lin looked up. "I never intended for it to become a tool for mind control." Nye's expression softened slightly. "Good intentions, Dr. An. The road to hell is paved with them." Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Minduk, a psychiatrist who had joined the resistance after treating too many patients with unexplained memory issues. He rushed in, clutching a tablet. "We have a problem. Somniatech is rolling out a system update tonight. All dream pods will receive new protocols. Lin took the tablet, scanning the technical specifications that one of their hackers had obtained. This is worse than we thought. They're implementing a more aggressive memory suppression algorithm, and they're adding real-time monitoring of dream content. What does that mean for regular people? Nye asked. It means Somniatech will know exactly what you're dreaming. And if they don't like it, they can alter it on the fly. Lin's voice grew hard. They're not just erasing memories anymore. They're controlling thoughts before they can even form. Dr. Minduk shook his head grimly. We're running out of time. The reports of sleep-wipe victims are increasing. People are losing hours, sometimes days of memories. Nye paced the room. We need to act now. The protest next week won't be enough. Lin made a decision. I can access the core system. If I can extract the unmodified algorithm and the evidence of the memory suppression, we can expose them. That would mean betraying everything you've worked for, Nye pointed out. No. Lin stood straighter. It means standing up for what I should have been working for all along. The plan they formulated was dangerous, but necessary. Lin would continue her role at Somniatech while secretly gathering evidence. Dr. Minduk would document the psychological effects of the memory suppressions. Nye and her hackers would prepare to broadcast the truth to every screen in Neo-Saigon. They called it Operation Blackout Night, a plan to wake the city from its controlled sleep. As the day of the system update approached, Lin worked feverishly to create a backdoor into Somniatech's secure servers. She needed access to the core algorithm, the original version she had designed, before it was corrupted. Her opportunity came during the pre-update verification. As division head, she had the authority to conduct a final review, alone in the server room, surrounded by the humming machines that controlled millions of people's sleep. Lin inserted a specialized drive Nye had provided. The download was at 67% when the door slid open. Working late again. Dr. An. Wangka's voice was smooth as ever, but his eyes were cold. Dedication is admirable, but some might wonder what requires such personal attention. Lin maintained her composure, casually shifting to block the drive port. The update affects my original algorithm. I wanted to ensure the integration is seamless. Always the perfectionist. He moved closer, eyes scanning the screens. Strange. I don't see the diagnostic tools running. I was just about to start them. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, initiating a standard system check to mask her actual activities. Wangka watched her work, his presence like a weight on her shoulders. Finally, seemingly satisfied, he stepped back. The board meeting has been moved up. We'll be reviewing the update results tomorrow morning instead of next week. I expect you'll have positive outcomes to report. After he left, Lin exhaled shakily. The download had completed, but Wangka's changed schedule complicated everything. The resistance wasn't ready to move so quickly. As she exited the building, Lin noticed a security detail that hadn't been there that morning, and when she reached her apartment, she found signs of a search. Subtle, professional, but unmistakable to her trained eye. They suspected her. She didn't return home that night. Instead, she made her way to the resistance hideout, moving carefully through the shadows of Neo-Saigon. The city's permanent twilight, created by light pollution from buildings that never darkened, provided some cover, but she knew Somniatech's security protocols. If they were looking for her, facial recognition cameras would be their first tool. The resistance base was in chaos when she arrived. Tech police had raided 3 of their safe houses. Several members had been arrested, and others had gone into hiding. Nye was coordinating their response, her face tight with stress. They're moving against us. Someone talked. Not someone. Something. Lin held up the drive. The update. It includes enhanced security protocols. They're using the dream pods to identify resistance sympathizers. Dr. Minduk looked up from tending to an injured member. How? The dream monitoring. They're scanning for subversive thought patterns. Lin connected the drive to their secure system. We need to move now. Tomorrow will be too late. Nai shook her head. We're not ready. The broadcast system isn't in place. We need at least 3 more days. We don't have 3 days. Lin pulled up the file she'd extracted. Look at this. The new algorithm doesn't just suppress memories. It plants new ones. Artificial loyalty. Manufactured contentment. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If this update goes live, we lose everything, Lin continued. Not just the fight. Our very ability to fight. Dr. Minduk studied the neural pathways displayed on screen. This is beyond unethical. It's a fundamental violation of human autonomy. Nai's expression hardened into resolve. Then we go to night. Operation Blackout Night begins now. The improvised plan was risky. While Ni's hackers worked to access Neo Saigon's emergency broadcast system, Lin and Dr. Minduk would return to Somniatech. Lin would use her access to delay the update, while Dr. Minduk compiled the medical evidence into a format the public could understand. The rest of the resistance would spread through the city, ready to distribute physical copies of the evidence in case the digital broadcast failed. As night fell, they moved into position. Lin approached Somniatech's tower, not through the main entrance, but via the maintenance tunnels she'd discovered during her research for the building's neural network integration. Her credentials still worked. They hadn't locked her out yet. Moving through the deserted lower levels, she made her way to the secondary server control room. From there, she could access the update deployment system without alerting security. Or so she thought. The moment she entered her access code, alarms blared, red lights flashed, and security shutters began to descend over the exits. I was wondering when you'd return. Wang Ka stepped from the shadows, flanked by 2 tech police officers. Did you really think we wouldn't monitor your access points after discovering your nocturnal activities? Lin backed against the server bank. How long have you known? About your betrayal? Since you disabled your dream pod. No loyal Somniatech employee rejects our technology. His smile was reptilian. About your collaboration with the terrorists? We had our suspicions, but you confirmed them tonight. They're not terrorists. They're fighting for the right to dream freely. Wang Ka laughed. Dreams are a resource. Dr. An. Like any resource, they must be managed, controlled, monetized. Your father understood that before his condition took his mind. The mention of her father sent a shock through Lin. What do you know about my father? I know he was one of our first test subjects, volunteered, desperate for any solution to his insomnia. The early versions of the DreamPod weren't as refined as today's models. Horror dawned on Lin. You experimented on him. Somniatech caused his condition. His genetic predisposition caused his condition. We merely accelerated it to study the effects. Wang Ka stepped closer. His sacrifice advanced our understanding tremendously. You should be proud. Rage burned through Lin's veins, momentarily overwhelming her fear. You're a monster! I'm a visionary. Sleep is inefficient. Dr. An, humanity wastes 1/3 of its existence unconscious. We've changed that. We've freed people from biological imprisonment. You've imprisoned their minds instead. Wang Ka signaled to the officers. Take her to containment. After tonight's update, she'll be our most enthusiastic supporter. The memory adjustments will be quite extensive, but I'm confident we can preserve her technical abilities. As the officers moved toward her, Lin pressed the emergency signal beacon hidden in her sleeve, a last resort to alert the resistance that the plan had failed. But before the officers could reach her, the lights went out. Complete darkness engulfed the room, followed by the distinctive sound of the security system powering down. Operation Blackout Night had begun. In the darkness, Lin moved swiftly, her knowledge of the room's layout giving her advantage. She heard Wang Ka shouting, the officers stumbling. A hand gripped her arm, not roughly, but with urgency. This way, Nai's voice. We have 4 minutes before the backup generators kick in. They navigated through the darkened corridors, guided by Nee's night vision goggles. Behind them, chaos erupted as Somnia Tech's security protocols collapsed under the Resistance's coordinated cyber attack. "How did you get in?" Lin asked, as they descended an emergency stairwell. "Your friend, the psychiatrist. He created a distraction at the main entrance, claimed he had patients experiencing mass psychosis from dream pod malfunctions. While security dealt with him, we slipped in through the loading docks. Is he safe? For now. But we need to move fast. The broadcast is ready, but we need the core access codes to prevent them from shutting it down." The central broadcast control room was 57 floors up, with elevators disabled by the power outage. They climbed, muscles burning, lungs heaving. Halfway up, the emergency lights flickered on, the backup systems activating sooner than expected. "They're adapting," Nye panted. "We need to hurry." When they finally reached the broadcast floor, they found it guarded by sleep enforcers, Somnia Tech's elite security force, equipped with neural disruptors that could render targets unconscious instantly. "We can't fight through them," Lin whispered, peering around the corner at the 6 armed guards. Nye pulled a small device from her pocket. "We don't have to." She activated it, sending a high-frequency pulse that caused the guards to clutch their heads in pain. Their neural implants, standard for all Somnia Tech employees, momentarily overloaded. They rushed past the incapacitated guards and into the broadcast control room. Lin immediately began bypassing the security protocols, while Nye established a connection to the Resistance's hidden servers. "How much time do we have?" Lin asked, fingers flying over the holographic interface. "Maybe 3 minutes before they override the system blackout." Nye connected her device to the main console. "Is that enough time?" "It has to be." Lin accessed the core system, using the authorization codes she'd extracted earlier. "Start the broadcast. I'll keep the channel open." The main screen flickered to life, displaying the Resistance's carefully prepared message. Across Neo-Saigon, every digital display, from personal devices to massive building projections, switched to the same broadcast. Dr. Minduk's face appeared, calm and authoritative. "Citizens of Neo-Saigon, my name is Dr. Minduk. I am a psychiatrist who has treated hundreds of victims of what Somnia Tech calls sleep optimization. What I'm about to show you is evidence of the largest mind control program in human history." The broadcast continued, showing brain scans, testimonials from affected users, and finally, the damning code Lin had extracted, the algorithm designed to suppress and alter memories. "This isn't just about sleep," Dr. Minduk continued. "It's about freedom. The freedom to dream, the freedom to remember, the freedom to be fully human." As the broadcast played, Lin worked feverishly to lock out Somnia Tech's override attempts. But the system was fighting back, security protocols activating faster than she could disable them. "We're losing the connection," she warned Nee. "We need more time. The evidence needs to reach everyone." The door burst open. Wang Ka entered, followed by a squad of sleep enforcers. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, his eyes wild with fury. "Enough," he pointed at Lin. "Shut it down now, or these officers will use lethal force." Lin stood her ground. "It's too late. The truth is out." "The truth," Wang Ka sneered. "The truth is that people don't want freedom. They want comfort. They don't want natural sleep with its nightmares and inefficiency. They want what we provide: perfect rest, pleasant dreams, productive lives." "You're wrong." Lin stepped forward, placing herself between the enforcers and the broadcast controls. "People deserve to choose, and they deserve to know what you've been doing to their minds." Wang Ka signaled to the officers, "Take them, and shut down that broadcast." As the enforcers moved forward, Lin made a desperate decision. She activated the emergency override, a protocol designed for catastrophic system failures. System override initiated, announced the automated voice. All Somniatech protocols suspended. Emergency reset in progress. Wang Ka's face contorted with rage. What have you done? I've given people back their dreams. Lin turned to the camera that was still broadcasting. Citizens of Neo Saigon, tonight your dream pods will deactivate. For the first time in 15 years, you'll have the chance to sleep naturally, to dream freely. It may be difficult at first. Your bodies have forgotten how. But they will remember. She took a deep breath. Knowing what came next would change everything. And to prove it's possible, I'll be the first. She removed a small neural transmitter from her pocket, the device she'd been developing in secret. This will broadcast my natural sleep patterns to every device in the city. You'll see what real dreams look like, unfiltered by Somniatech's algorithms. Wang Ka lunged forward, but Ni intercepted him, her smaller frame somehow containing his fury. It's over, Wang Ka, Ni said. The sleep enforcers can't stop everyone from waking up. Indeed. The officers seemed confused, their neural implants affected by the system reset. Some lowered their weapons, uncertainty replacing their trained obedience. Lin attached the transmitter to her temple. All I need to do is sleep, naturally. No pods, no algorithms, no corporate dreams. She lay down on the floor of the broadcast room, surrounded by the chaos of the revolution she'd helped start. This won't work, Wang Ka snarled, still restrained by Ni. People can't sleep without assistance anymore. You've doomed them to insomnia and madness. We'll see. Lin closed her eyes. Humanity slept naturally for thousands of years before Somniatech. We'll remember how. Sleep didn't come easily in that tense room, with enforcers watching and Wang Ka's threats echoing. But Lin focused on her breathing, on the memory of her father's stories, on the lotus flowers from her first natural dream. Gradually, improbably, sleep claimed her. And Neo Saigon watched as her neural patterns, displayed on every screen in the city, shifted into the unmistakable rhythms of natural sleep. They watched as her eyes moved beneath closed lids, REM sleep, bringing genuine dreams. They watched, and many were inspired to try themselves. Across the city, dream pods powered down. People lay in darkness, uncertain, afraid, but curious. Some couldn't sleep at all that first night. Others managed only fitful dozing, but a few, especially the youngest, whose bodies still remembered, slipped into natural sleep and dreamed their own dreams for the first time. Lin dreamed of lotus flowers again, but this time they floated on clear water, unobstructed by technology. In her dream, she saw her father, healthy and proud. You remembered, he told her. You remembered how to be human. When she woke hours later, Nai was sitting beside her, the room otherwise empty. The sleep enforcers stood down. Nai explained. Most of them were affected by the system reset too. Their loyalty programming collapsed. And Wang Ka? In custody. The evidence was too damning. The new government is already distancing itself from Somniatech, claiming they were misled about the memory manipulation. Lin sat up slowly, feeling the strange authenticity of natural waking, the grogginess, the lingering dream fragments. And the people. Nai smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her fierce features. See for yourself. She helped Lin to the window. Below, Neo Saigon was experiencing something it hadn't known in 15 years. A quiet morning. Many people were still sleeping, their bodies reclaiming lost time. Others moved slowly through the streets, faces bearing the soft confusion of those waking from deep dreams. It worked, Lin whispered. Not perfectly. There have been panic attacks, withdrawal symptoms from the neural induction. Dr. Minduk has been organizing emergency response teams. Nai placed a hand on Lin's shoulder. But yes, it worked. People are sleeping. Naturally. The aftermath of Operation Blackout Night unfolded over weeks and months. SomniaTech's stock collapsed as investigations revealed the full extent of their memory manipulation program. Wang Ka and several board members faced criminal charges for unauthorized neural experimentation. The new government, eager to distance itself from the scandal, rushed to pass the Sleep Freedom Act, which guaranteed citizens the right to natural sleep while still permitting regulated sleep technology for those who chose it. The transition wasn't easy. After years of dependency on dream pods, many people struggled with insomnia, nightmare disorders, and sleep anxiety. Clinics opened across Neo-Saigon to help citizens relearn natural sleep patterns. Dr. Min Duke led the psychological recovery efforts, developing therapies for those most affected by memory tampering. Lin found herself in an unexpected role, leading the reformation of SomniaTech under government oversight. The company's technology could still benefit humanity, she argued, not by replacing natural sleep, but by assisting those with genuine sleep disorders. We can help people without controlling them, she explained to the newly appointed regulatory board. Sleep technology should be a tool, not a prison. 6 months after the blackout night, Lin visited one of Dr. Minduke's sleep clinics. The former SomniaTech facility had been transformed into a peaceful space with soft lighting and comfortable beds. Not a dream pod in sight. Dr. Min Duke greeted her warmly. Our success rates improve every week. 87% of patients now achieve natural sleep within 3 sessions. And the memory issues? His expression sobered. More complicated. Some memories are permanently lost. Others are returning gradually as natural dream cycles help reintegrate neural pathways. But the psychological impact of knowing you've been manipulated. He shook his head. That takes longer to heal. They walked through the recovery ward, where patients slept under gentle monitoring, not to control their dreams, but to track their progress toward natural sleep patterns. And Nai? Lin asked. I haven't seen her since the government hearings. Ghost has gone back to the shadows, Dr. Min Duke said with a small smile. The Resistance has transformed into a watchdog organization. They monitor sleep technology developments worldwide to prevent another SomniaTech situation. As they passed the children's ward, Lin paused. A young girl, no more than 7, slept peacefully, her expression serene. Unlike the adults, she had adapted quickly to natural sleep, her young brain still flexible enough to embrace its natural rhythms. The next generation will take natural sleep for granted, Dr. Min Duke observed. They'll never know what we lost, or what we regained. They should know, Lin said softly. They should remember that freedom can be taken through technology as easily as it can be given, even something as fundamental as dreaming. That night, in her small apartment, she had given up the luxury SomniaTech residence. Lin prepared for sleep the new old way. No pods, no neural interfaces, just darkness and quiet, and her own thoughts. She had written to her father's memory earlier, a practice Dr. Min Duke had recommended for healing. Not a digital message, but words on actual paper, describing the dream she'd had of him during the broadcast, telling him how his struggle had ultimately led to freedom for millions. As sleep approached, Lin thought about the lotus flowers that consistently appeared in her natural dreams. Dr. Min Duke had explained that recurring dream symbols often represented core aspects of the self. The lotus, growing from murky depths toward light, blooming despite adversity, seemed fitting for the journey she and Neo-Saigon had undertaken. The city outside her window was different now. Buildings still glowed, but many went dark at night, their occupants embracing the natural cycle of day and night. People spoke of their dreams at breakfast, shared nightmare remedies, debated whether technology should play any role in sleep at all. Most importantly, they chose for themselves. Lin's eyelids grew heavy. Research indicated that natural sleep quality improved with practice, and her own experience confirmed it. Each night came more easily than the last, each dream more vivid, each waking more refreshed. As consciousness faded, her final thought was not of algorithms or neural pathways or the continuing reformation of sleep technology. It was simpler, more human. She wondered what she would dream tonight. Across Neo-Saigon, millions of others wondered the same thing as they drifted into sleep on their own terms. Their dreams finally, truly their own. In a small room at the edge of the city, a child who had never known dream pods closed her eyes and embarked on the most natural and revolutionary act possible. She began to dream freely. And in that dream, lotus flowers bloomed beneath a sky no longer dominated by corporate logos, a sky dark enough to show stars, vast and infinite as the human imagination finally unshackled from control.